and gentlemen, Donald J. Trump has won yet again. I think, I know there was a name, they used to call him Teflon Don. I don't know, there should be some kind of name that has some association with cats. You know, the whole Nine Lives thing. I have never seen anyone in my life that just, I don't know, man. All he does is win, win, win. I guess that's one thing he was right about. You're going to get tired of winning. No matter how many crimes he commits, how many lies he commits, no matter how many crazy things he says, how much of a lunatic he looks like, how many times that he gets busted, how many indictments that he got, he just always gets away. I mean, not literally, obviously he did get something, he had to pay some fines, but I mean, that stuff is all trivial, man. No one's ever really hurt Trump, you know? Trump gets hurt like I get hurt if I gotta pay like $100 fine or something, you know, for speeding. Like that's how Trump gets hurt, right? But he won. Trump absolutely won on the Epstein. And I think that's crazy to me is how many people don't get that. It's just like so many people are going to slowly catch up and realize. I mean, I had said this was over months ago. And now finally it is coming to pass. And in this moment, if you let left-wing media tell it, Trump is failing. MAGA's done. Trump is done. Everything's done. Trump is now, in my view, things have drastically improved for him. Now, the fact of, you know, him losing, you know, Latino votes and the independents. I mean, is he running for president in 2028? Like, why are we really worried about Trump's polling? And I know it's bigger than that because, you know, if he's doing bad, then he brings the party down. But ultimately, the way they talk about it is if he's running for office again, right? Why do we give a rat's ass that Trump is losing Latinos? Like, oh, okay, well, sucks for him if he's going to run for president in 2028. Like, who cares, right? Someone else is going to be running, hopefully, if he actually leaves office. Someone else is going to be running for president. And what matters is how they will do with Latinos, right? How they will do with independents. Who gives a rat's ass? Trump is already president. He already won, right? So who likes him and whatever, that doesn't really matter right now. And again, I realize he can bring the ticket down, but ultimately, all that stuff is nonsense. He's still polling very, very high with his base and his voters. They still love him. You know, they'll complain and say, well, he's not doing the best with the Epstein thing, and I don't like some of those stuff. But if you ask them, they'll tell you he was the greatest president of their lifetime. That's what they'll tell you, right? So how is Trump winning? How has he won? Okay. And this is something, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. The way people talk about this stuff, they're talking about it in completely the wrong way, right? I give you the raw reality and truth, nonpartisan. I'm not trying to, for one tribe or the other. I'm just giving you like it is. When you understand the truth of what's happening, then it all makes sense. And then you can figure out what I am seeing, which is that Trump has won, right? So first of all, let's start with the core matter. The right wing does not care about Epstein. They don't care about the victims. They don't care about seeing justice for these billionaires who did whatever. They don't care about that. It was never about that. I've said that a million times. The whole point was this was a vector to attack the left and the liberals and the Democrats. That was the point. That was the gold at the end of the rainbow. They weren't interested in the rainbow. It wasn't about the rainbow. Oh, look at the colors. Look at the beauty. No, it's about this is a pathway to seeing Obama in prison and Pelosi in prison and all those sick Democrats. It was all about seeing your political opponents in prison and something happened. That was the whole point. Which is why these guys got in office and all of a sudden they flipped up and now they don't want to talk about Epstein anymore. Now they want to talk about, oh, we indict this person, indict that person, because they know that's what the base really wants. The base doesn't give a fuck about the victims. They don't give a fuck about the crimes or the billionaires. They don't care about that. It's all about the Democrats, right? That's what it was all about from the beginning, from the get-go. So with that being said, why things are now better for Trump and why Trump has won is because previously it was a very difficult situation. The door to the Epstein files coming out was wide open. We had the files and pretty much there was nothing stopping them. Pam Bondi could have released the files at any time. Trump could have released the files at any time, right? So with that being said, if the door's wide open to these files coming out and us getting justice for all the creeps that did whatever, why weren't they coming out? It's a bad look, right? It's a bad look. And then because there was really no reason for the files not coming out, they had to say stupid things and play games and, we don't want to swear this woman in because of blah, blah, blah. And we're not going to vote for the recent files because it's just partisan games that the Democrats are playing. And every time there's a chance to release the files, they say something stupid. Now, yes, there's a lot of stupid people in MAGA, but they're not all stupid. So it's a bad look because some people that are not like dumb, they're just like, they're Trump voters or whatever. They're like, what the fuck is this? Every time there's a chance to release the files, we don't get the files and the stuff they're saying doesn't make any sense. So that was Trump in hot water. It was not a good look and it was really difficult for them to come up with excuses, right? Because it was absolutely ridiculous. It was clearly they could release the files at any moment. There's no good way to explain it. That's a bad situation, hot seat, and then, every day something else coming out, whatever, and they're squirming around and making up these stupid excuses, and, it's just not working for a lot of people. That was then. That was a bad situation. Now what we have is excellent. What we have now is excellent for Trump. It's horrible for America, excellent for Trump. What do we have now? And again, remember, this is why it's very important that you understand the fundamental situation. Remember that the MAGA base does not care about the Epstein files. They don't care about the victims, none of that stuff. It was never about that. So keep that in mind. So ultimately, and also it's a cult. They don't want to admit that they were wrong, admit that they're in a cult, admit that they supported this guy who potentially did some really bad things with some underage girls, right? A lot of evidence seems to point in that direction. They would rather accept any other reality than to accept that they put this guy in power that is doing what he's doing, right? Remember that. Just remember that, right? They are hungry. Give us anything that avoids us taking accountability for us supporting this creep, right? The problem is, previously in a bad situation, it was tough to give them anything solid, right? The stuff they were saying didn't make any sense. Oh, we don't want to swear this person in, and we don't want to vote for it because this and that, and all this. Like it was a bad look. So as a MAGA person, you're just kind of like, I'll take just about anything other than accepting that I supported this creep. But you're not really giving me anything. Like the stuff you're saying, even for me, I'm like, what is this? Right? So then some of them are revolting and they're whatever. But the reason they're revolting is because they need something. You got to give them something that they can hide under and be like, oh, such and such. Well, now they have it. Right? So the vote was coming in the House. Trump saw a bunch of people were going to vote to release the files in the House, which would force the Senate to be on record blocking it. Because previously, the only option was to block the release of the files. Trump does not want the files released, right? He does not. Ultimately, everything, all roads end at Trump. It's all about Trump. He does not want the files released, right? Previously, he was stuck, right? Because if it passes the House and then it goes to the Senate and then all these Republicans what are they going to do? They're going to vote to block the file and have this on their record and after Trump is gone? So it's kind of like, what are we going to do, right? So Trump is like, okay, we're going to finish this up. So Trump says, you know what? we're going to do an investigation into the Democrats because we know Democrats, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Once we start an investigation, that'll be our excuse to block the files. And then he immediately says, hey guys, release the files. Yeah, release the files, release the files. And he tells the Republicans, release the files. Go and vote for release. Remember, we don't need a vote. We don't need a vote. They can release the files right now. So the fact that Trump is saying, oh, you guys vote for it and yeah, whatever, instead of saying, release the files right now, shows that he's playing a game. So he starts the bogus investigation, right? That's going to go to infinity and beyond. Then he immediately says, oh, release the files. Why does he do that? Because now before, the door was wide open to the files being released. So they're squirming around, saying stuff that doesn't make any sense because there's no excuse. They could release it right now. There was no excuse. So it was tough. But once Trump said opening an investigation into it, now they have the perfect excuse. Now instead of saying nonsense, they'll have a legal thing this is the normal process. When you have an investigation, you cannot compromise the investigator by releasing the files. So now the door is I won't say completely shut, but it's almost completely shut as opposed to before it was wide open. It's kind of like, it's wide open. Why aren't you releasing it? Now, Trump shut the door by starting an investigation. So now he's like, yeah, release the files. Vote for it, right? So now, unanimous vote in the Senate, of course, right? So now the senators all get to pretend like, yeah, we want to see transparency and we voted to see it released. That's what we want. And then Trump is doing, it's just, I don't know how many times he can play this game. Like, how much of a moron do you have to be to keep falling for this, right? His classic move, it's everybody else but Trump, right? And he's already started, it's not like, no, I'm not a genius. I've seen this before. We've all seen this before, right? It's all about fall guys, right? So this whole start an investigation thing is also a way to insulate himself because the whole thing about investigation, that's DOJ, that's not him, right? So he starts this, giving himself that excuse, and now I guarantee you going forward, if you ask him about it, he's going to be like, oh, well, what does Pam Bondi say? And Pam Bondi's going to be like, oh, we have an investigation, and we can't release because of investigation, and Trump will be like, oh, man, this sucks. Damn it. Oh, damn it to hell. You mean you can't? Pam Bondi? You mean there's nothing else you guys can do? There's no way? No, because investigation and if we reveal anything, it's gonna... Oh, man, I can't believe it. This just hurts my heart. I'm not gonna get any sleep tonight. You mean to tell me that the files aren't gonna come out now because of an investigation? Oh, wow. But guys, I told them to release the files, but Pam Bondi, she's telling me that the DOJ and stuff, so, the DOJ and stuff, guys, but I did my part. I told them to release it. I'm the one who pushed for them to release it while the Democrats are playing games and whatever. I'm not playing games. I'm for transparency. I told them to vote for it. They voted for it. But now we have to follow the process. We got to follow the rules. We got to follow the law, right? This is how it works. This is how it works, right? When have you ever seen an ongoing investigation, they release files? Let's not be ridiculous, guys. I don't want to talk too much. Pam Bondi, explain it to them, Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi, please explain to them why you can't release the files because of the stuff, right? Tell them, Pam Bondi, yeah. Everybody go talk to Pam Bondi. Yeah, had nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me, guys. And the best part of this is to infinity and beyond. What do I mean by that? A DOJ investigation is by its very nature confidential. We can't know the details of like wiretaps and undercover agents and all this kind of stuff that theoretically is going on right now, right? So let's say 6 months from now, people are asking, what's up with the Epstein files? Hey, ongoing investigation. That's why I'm saying Trump is winning, because how do you challenge that? Previously, the stuff they were saying was dumb. It was dumb, stupid excuses. So you're blocking the vote because You think it's unnecessary because you're already releasing the files, but the files you're releasing are files we already saw before. Like, what are you doing, right? Now it's gonna be, hey, what's up with Epstein files? Oh, the investigation's still going. You've been working on investigating for 6 months now. What's the progress? Oh, there's lots of progress. Trust me. In a couple of weeks, we got some stuff coming out, and oh my goodness, this stuff. I can't say, but I've seen some stuff, right? A year from now, what's up with Epstein files? Oh, we're making tremendous progress. There's a lot of people that's gonna be held to pay, and indictments are coming. Trust me. 2 years from now, what's up with it? And that's if anybody even cares, because this is America. We got short-term memory. In spite of what left-wing media would tell you, right? 6 months from now, come back to me. Bookmark this goddamn video. 6 months from now, come back to me and tell me who gives a fuck about Epstein. Right? The story is going to get so old. How many times are you going to ask about the Epstein files and be told ongoing investigation? They can't tell you about the investigation, so you're not even getting any juice about the investigation. So you're not getting the files because of investigation. You're not getting juice about the investigation because it's an investigation. So you get nothing. So how many times... I mean, news media is all about views, right? That's the business that they're in. Who is going to get views for reporting over and over again? Oh, nothing to report. They're still investigating. Nothing to report here. They're still investigating. And then how do what are you supposed to do with that? There's no, now you could crush. Previously you could crush the stuff, but Trump said this and blah, 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 blah. But why don't you just whatever? Ongoing investigation is the, pun intended, not intended, whatever. It's the Trump card, right? What can defeat ongoing investigation? Now, that being said, it's not the complete end of everything. I mean, I think it's the end for Trump in terms of him releasing anything or all this drama that's going on right now. This is the final season. This is the season finale. But just like how the Democrats, strangely enough, were able to quickly release some files that even expose people on their side. You see the difference? I don't like Democrats. I think they're frauds. They're much better than Republicans, but I think they're frauds. But yet, they're able to release files, get them pretty quickly. The files that they release had new information we didn't know before. We're learning much more about the relationships and who's talking to, and we even learned about a Democrat that's involved. So they are giving new information. They were able to redact it. They were able to expose a Democrat who was talking to Epstein. Meanwhile, what do we get from Trump? You ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Shut up, piggy! Like, what the... Like, what? That being said, Trump has a lot of other problems going on. And I would admit these are bad times for him. He's still very well liked by his voters, but these are bad times for him. But the Epstein thing is, as far as I can see, going nowhere, right? But once we move on beyond the Epstein files, now that Trump has finally buried it once and for all, and then, of course, the next thing is we don't know what they've been doing and will continue to do in terms of deleting files and scrubbing files and whatever. And that's another proof that you know that MAGA doesn't care about the Epstein files, right? Because I think the average MAGA person would admit that there's a cover-up going on. They just wouldn't say it's Trump. They would say it's Pambani or somebody else. It's a deep state. So if they really wanted these files and they knew that there's a cover-up going on in the government right now, they would be terrified, right? Because these files being destroyed is something they'll be worried about. Because once they're destroyed, that's it. It's gone, right? Who's to say what was there and what's not there? So you would be panicking right now. They would be just blowing up the phones of all their representatives, right? They would just going insane. There would be protests. There would be tremendous pressure on the Republican members of Congress right now if MAGA actually cared about this. Because the idea that all these files are in the government And somebody's covering it up. We don't know who's covering it up. But somebody's covering, like everyone would agree, somebody's trying to cover it up. So somebody's trying to cover it up, just like how, look what happened to Epstein. He was in prison, right? This guy was a dangerous guy. He knew a lot of things. He was a risk to a lot of people, right? So that was a problem. And somehow that problem got solved. So just like we couldn't hold on to Epstein, the idea that MAGA could be comfortable with these files, right? Epstein couldn't be kept safe in our government because of these bad actors. Clearly, these bad actors are still around. We'll debate about who they are, but they're still there. Somebody's stopping the files from coming out. So if these people are willing to potentially unalive someone, what do you think they would do with some papers and some floppy disks and some memory sticks, right? So if you really cared about the Epstein investigation and you really cared about the victims or whatever, and you're MAGA and you really cared, you would be losing your mind. But instead, they're chilling. And in fact, they're going to be chilling even more now, because now that, and remember, let's go back. I'm going to loop back to the beginning of what I said, right? It was never about the files. It was all about attacking Democrats, right? And the other thing I told you was that they would rather have these pedophiles get away than accept the responsibility for potentially putting a pedo in the White House, right? They would rather let other pedos get away than accept that they might have empowered this absolute creep to be empowered. So, any frustration you see from a lot of MAGA was because they were put in a bad situation. Trump was looking very guilty. Pam Bondi, all their people, Patel, all looking super guilty. And for the MAGA people that are not completely brainless, the excuses didn't make any sense. So they were looking so stupid. They're trying to say, you know, Trump is great and greatest president, and they got the flags all over the place or whatever. And then Trump is saying stupid stuff. All the people saying stupid stuff. And then these people have to go to their friends and their social circle and be seen as, oh, that guy was diehard Trump, and look what Trump is doing right now, right? So, of course, they were upset. It bothered them. That's why they were getting, oh, man, Trump, what are you doing? Right? The problem was not that the files were being covered up, but that MAGA was being exposed. But once you start this ongoing investigation thing and you say you can't release the files because ongoing investigation, now you have saved MAGA. So now they can calm down, right? Before it was kind of like, man, this looks kind of bad, man. Trump is looking kind of guilty, and that's our guy. Oh, man. And, you know, I mean, the dumb ones, they were like believing everything Trump said. Like, oh, the grand jury, they got the grand jury stuff. Yeah, grand jury. Right? But for MAGA that had half a brain, they were like, this don't make any goddamn sense. I can't tell my friends this. I've been preaching and promoting Trump for years now. And right now, Trump looks like a pedo. And I can't say anything to justify it right now. I just look stupid. But now it's going to be, oh, no, Trump said to release the file. And all the Republicans, they voted to release the file. They're not, who's covering anything up? The entire Republican Party said release the files. Trump said release the files. Pam Bondi said she's going to release the files. But there's an ongoing investigation. So, you know, right? Remember, if they never really wanted the files, they never really wanted the criminals brought to justice, then all you need to do is to relieve them of the stress of looking horrible, right? Because if I'm a MAGA person right now with this ongoing investigation thing, then it's no longer an issue. I don't look bad anymore. It's kind of like, listen, man, ongoing investigation, right? Ongoing investigation. I mean, obviously, you know, to the rest of the country, we know that that's just an excuse, but this is a legitimate excuse. The thing that's illegitimate is that they started an investigation to block the release of the files, right? That part is illegitimate. But that they can't release the files while it's an ongoing investigation, that's not illegitimate. That's like how they do things, right? So now MAGA has a legitimate excuse to to why their guy, and I can't say he's blocking the file. He's not blocking anything. He doesn't have to block anything, right? DOJ investigation. DOJ can't release the files. It's out of Trump's hands. Nothing he can do, right? Before they start an investigation, Trump could have just released the files, right? So it was a bad look. That's uncomfortable. MAGA's mad. You're making us look bad, Trump. Now, I mean, I don't know if legitimately if that's 100% true. Like, so even with the ongoing investigation, could Trump just override that somehow? I mean, I theoretically, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. But it's certainly way better than what was going on before. Before, there was nothing stopping Trump from releasing the files. So anyone with any half a brain could see that Trump is the one blocking this. Not Pam Bondi, not Patel, whatever. None of his minions. It was him. But with this ongoing investigation thing, it's not about Trump, right? It was about Trump. It stopped being about Trump the minute that he started the investigation to block the files, right? Once he started that, once he got that rolling, now it's kind of like, what you call it? It's cruise control. So now he can sit back and it's like, it's not about me, man. The cruise control is set to 55 miles per hour. That's what we gonna do, right? I'm just a passenger like you, just sitting back. I'm like, I don't know. Just cruise control, man. Right? Anyway, there you have it. I mean, if I was here trying to make money, trying to be famous, I would tell you, Trump is finished. Trump is finished. MAGA's finished. It's all over. It's all over. The files are being released and and MAGA is revolting. They're burning hats and they're burning cats. They're burning whatever. What is it? They're burning. What's that thing? They're I'm thinking of some meme. Anyway, but I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to be popular. I'm not here trying to make money. So I'm gonna tell you the stuff you don't want to hear. I'm just tell you the truth, right? I know people on the left would love to hear MAGA's done and Trump is done. That's not the case. MAGA is going nowhere. Trump is going nowhere. Like I said, Trump is taking on some water with some other stuff. I think the Epstein thing is kind of moving on beyond that now. But there's a lot of people that are not liking his border, the stuff he's doing with the border. The economy is not in a good state. So Trump's got other issues going on, which is going to continue to hurt him. I don't know how far that's going to go. I mean, I don't know, man. That's a little complicated, man. Because it's like Trump has released so many. It's like he's released so many bombs into the system, things that we have not fully experienced yet. It's like it's almost like self-sabotage. So it's hard to tell where that's gonna go. I would just say this. If you think that the Democrats are definitely gonna win the midterms, I think that you're clueless. You don't know how politics works. Maybe you're new to this country or you're new to this earth or something. I wouldn't be so sure about that. In my view, the Republicans are still competitive for the midterms. The chances that the Democrats actually win, there is a growing list of pathways that could lead to them actually winning the midterms. But it is absolutely not set in stone. I think all we need is a little bit of a lull. Trump is reversing a lot of his tariffs and stuff like that. So if he continues doing that and things are allowed to recover, because as much damage as Trump is doing, the market wants to survive, right? The globe wants to survive. All these countries or whatever, everybody's trying to survive. So if Trump just sort of steps back and let things do what they do, I mean, obviously a lot of the damage happening to people at the bottom, that will continue to happen, but the major damage to the economy and things like that could stabilize. And we might even see some slight improvements at some point. And then with the Epstein story being dead, maybe he tones down some of the border stuff. it's not polling very well. So maybe, for the midterm, they tone that down. Because here's the thing, like I said, a lot of people are much more willing to accept anything else but that they were wrong and they supported this destruction. All right. So if Trump can calm down enough, right, calm down on the border stuff, tone down his rhetoric on certain things, and just kind of like breathe, chill out for a little bit, I think a ton of people that are all upset and mad at Trump will forget, like they always do, like they forgot January 6th. We've seen this before. I think you can see a lot of people sort of go right back into the camp, right? Because the main reason that you see the revolt is because when things get to the point where it's so hard to explain away. It's like when things look so bad, it's hard for them to be like, oh, no, some excuse for stuff. That's when it's difficult, right? But if Trump stops being so insane, a lot of these people who were saying all this stuff about Trump is this and Trump is that, they'll come right back to the flock. That's how cults work, man. It's the reality. Big One says, man, I gotta get my glasses. I needed my glasses to work today. I was blind, man. I had to change my font size. I'm an old man. Trump is very innocent, but Trump will get Obama, Clinton, and Biden. They're all guilty. Okay, so Big Ward, the genius, is the opposite of a genius. Interesting. All right, guys, this is the Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Trump has won. Let everybody else tell it. Trump is finished. Bookmark this video. Let's talk in 6 months. I'm not saying there's not going to be more scandals. There's absolutely going to be scandals. From the time he got elected, I said there was going to be scandals with everybody in his administration, and that's been coming true. There's going to continue to be scandals. Something crazy happens, and then people start whatever, and then calms down. And Trump ain't going nowhere. MAGA ain't going nowhere. But you know what's going somewhere? Epstein. Those files, just like Epstein himself. And don't be surprised if a certain female who's in prison right now suddenly gets depressed and decides to exit stage left mysteriously. Because from what I've seen, Trump and his allies will do anything to protect these files from being released. When I say anything, I mean anything. It is believed by Epstein's, I believe his brother, that Trump, who was the one in charge when Epstein disappeared, that Trump was the one who did it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. And if so, I wouldn't put it past him to make a couple phone calls, shall we say. And then the only other person who knows all information, well, as Trump said, things happen. Things happen.